Hey everyone, it's Bob Perkins bringing you another Monday Morning Sales Minute. It's great to have Dave Kennett back. Dave, welcome.
Thank you, Bob.
He's here for week number 2 on a series of 3 talking about how to improve your demos. Last week, he mentioned always turn on video. This week, Dave, what are you going to talk about?
We're going to talk about the importance of laying out an agenda. And that's at the start of any discovery call or demo call, or actually really any customer-facing, prospect-facing call that you've got. And we see a lot of reps missing this, or they'll do a portion of it. So first, let's talk about why an agenda, and then we'll talk about the steps to follow an agenda. So why? It really gives you a framework and gives the prospect a framework for the call. We're asking our prospect to spend probably their most valuable commodity with us, which is time. And they want to know how it's going to be spent. And so walking through a quick roadmap is very important. Number 2, it allows the prospect to say, hey, I agree or disagree with the agenda. I'd like to cover this and this, but no, let's cover this. And then the third thing is it keeps things on track. So if we have reps ask us all the time, what happens when we have a prospect that wanders? Well, if you lay out a good agenda, it really helps you to bring them back and say, hey, what you're talking about right now is super important, but just to kind of stick to the agenda and make sure that we have enough time to cover that. Let's get back to this, and we'll cover your piece at the end if we have time, or we can schedule another call. So that's why an agenda. And then just very quickly, what are the steps in an agenda that we recommend? Number 1, propose a quick outline, and the whole agenda should take no more than 15 to 30 seconds. Yep. And it's so 3 steps in it. You propose the agenda, you state the value, and check for acceptance. So it might be something like this. So you propose the agenda. Today, really looking forward to learning more on your organization, and specifically want to understand how, I'm going to ask you some questions on how our solution might fit in. And then at the end of our discussion, I'm looking forward to showing you an actual demo of our solution based on what I learned in this upfront discussion, just so that we're making the most of the time for you. How does that sound to you? So you noticed I proposed it, I stated the value. Hey, we're trying to ask some questions up front so we can give you the best value with a customized pitch. And then at the end, check for acceptance to make sure they're on the same page. And that's our quick tip today, Bob, for setting an agenda.
Some great tips. You'd be surprised the number of reps that go in, hey, how's it going? Build a little rapport, and they launch right in the demo or discovery. You mentioned something I started to laugh about. You said the framework, the agenda, helps keep the prospect on track if they wander. It also helps to keep the rep on track if they wander too, correct?
Absolutely, 100%. I know that's been valuable for me personally over time, for sure.
Look, we're going to do a webinar together. In fact, the date is February 11th, 1 p.m. Eastern time. We're going to put it up on the screen here. Get out to this webinar. And Dave, you're going to cover a lot of other stuff on that, correct?
We are. Soup to nuts. We're going to go through the best practices we've learned from watching hundreds of hours of inside sales professionals just doing discovery and demo calls, for everything from the outset of the call to the discovery to how to actually ensure that your demo is resonating with your prospect.
Dave, I heard a stat that goes something like 50% of the opportunities, they get into the demo stage and then they kind of never close or stall. Have you found the same in your research?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the stats vary depending on whether it's transactional or enterprise sales motion, of course, but sort of in principle, yes, absolutely. I think one of the things we hear all the time from sales professionals is, how can I really provide a message that's going to resonate with our prospects so that things don't get stuck in that sort of demo phase in the pipeline?
Great. Well, look, make it out to the webinar on February 11th so you can learn all of the tips, best practices, so you can help improve your close rates. Everyone, hey, thanks for coming out. Next week, Dave, you're going to talk about what?
The importance of, at the very end of a call, leaving enough time for that pricing and next steps discussion. So that's a quick highlight of what we're going to talk about next week.
That sounds exciting. Until next week, then, everyone, good demoing and good selling. Have a good week. Bye-bye.